So it's very likely you have already come across the Phalaenopsis orchid, also known as the moth orchid. I'll let you guess why that is. And we just started carrying them. We wanted to give you a little bit of clarity into the care of these. They can be very easy to care for if you know what you're doing. And there's a lot of misconceptions around them as well. This is a tropical plant. It's native to Asia and Australia. Your orchid does like bright and direct light, and it is actually an epiphyte. Those are plants that use their roots to grasp onto tree branches, taking in their moisture from the humidity that's happening in the canopy level of the forest. And the roots are not being used primarily to take in water. That means it gets a little bit of a different care than other houseplants that you might be used to. A lot of your orchids are potted in these clear pots where you can actually see what's going on in the pot, and you'll be able to see when your orchid is 100% dry. Some orchids are potted in bark, but we much prefer to use sphagnum moss to really control the moisture level. So once it's totally dry in there, you want to water it very, very deeply. You want to fully saturate whatever medium is in the pot and get those roots nice and wet. And then you'll want to allow it to dry out. It could be anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks between waterings. That also depends on the time of year. So your orchid will put up these spikes and bloom these beautiful flowers, and oftentimes many of them along the stem. And a lot of people tend to think that once the orchid flower dies, their orchid is dead. This is a rumor that I am determined to put to rest. If you have this lovely green foliage still at the bottom, your orchid is alive. It is just going through its natural life cycle, which is that it puts up this spike, it blooms for weeks on end, and then the flowers die. We recommend that you cut the spike all the way down at the bottom, mostly for aesthetic purposes. Usually over the course of the following year, it can take many months, your orchid will put up a new spike and bloom once again, and it can relive this process many times. So orchid is a lesson in patience, but it is no wonder why this easily becomes a collector's plant for people.